Hello friends, today's topic is very interesting. Today we'll be discussing about OOPS, object-oriented programming with Python, and we'll be talking about classes, objects, inheritance, and all those stuff. So this is a really very important topic, especially for them who are moving from functional testing to automation testing. They should know because not every time they're writing their own scripts, they are supposed to read other script. Means I have written something, there's already a framework, you just join my team and you are supposed to read the code and get things out, how the classes are defined, what are the reusable components and all those things. So this is really very important topic for today. So let me start. I have already opened PyCharm, you can see on my desktop, and let me start. So let's start with the classes. So why, what is the basic purpose behind the classes and objects? And the basic purpose is the reusability. So once you define a class, you can use like it's same you did for functions. You define a functions, and if the function is usable, you can use anywhere. So basically, classes are again collection of there are methods, functions, variables, or attributes. They call it their different name, but the purpose behind having classes is reusability. So let me define the class. So to define a class, you need to have a keyword class and then class name. So let me give my class colon, and then let me define one variable here. My first name equals to J, and that's it. So you have defined a class whose name is my class, and that class contains only one attribute, and the name of the attribute is my first name. So if you want to now the next step is how to create the object of that class. Obj equals to my class, and then we can access the attribute of that object, obj dot my first name. So let me right click and run, and you can see the result is here. So this is a very basic. This is not a normal class which we use while doing automation or while developing something. This is just to tell you we have class name, and then the body part where we are defining our attributes, variables, and then later we'll be defining function. So I'm going to delete this because this is just to show you how this works, and then we can create the objects of the class. So this time I'll take a real life example. So let's talk about loan. So we know there are different type of loan: home loan, personal loan, business loan, and so many loans. So let's consider one class as loan. So I'm going to define that class loan applicant. Okay. Now you defined we just started defining our class loan applicant, and now the very first thing which a class should have, actually it has, is underscore init. So init underscore init is the method of class. Whenever you create object of class, that will be executed for sure. So now let me define some variables within the method. Self dot first name, it's an applicant's first name, and we can pass this in a variable first first name, last name, then type of applicant, profession of applicant, and the last variable will take loan amount that person is applying for. Okay, so these are 1, 2, 3, 4 parameters, and for each we have to define this. So first name is first name, self dot last name is equals to last name, self dot profession equals to profession, and self dot loan amount. Let me use proper loan amount is equals to loan amount, right? So as soon as I define this, self was by default there. So we need to have, you can, instead of self is the keyword, it comes by default, but you can change. Instead of self, you want to use anything else, you can use. So there is nothing, and I would suggest you to try. And later I'll try. Once let me complete this, I'll replace self with some other keyword, and you'll see in this that case also it's working. So we have defined one, the basic method of the class. We have given the all required information, and let me define. Okay, let me not define, and let me first create few object of this. So first applicant is equals to loan applicant, and what you're supposed to pass, you're supposed to pass the first name, the last name, profession, and loan amount. Let's say 100,000. Okay, and then done. You already defined the object, and let's try to access. Let me print first applicant dot profession. Red dot profession. Okay, so I need to close the brackets and let me execute. I just did it. Let me execute, and you can see it's printed. So it's a very simple, crystal clear. We have defined a class named loan applicant, and it's a it's must to have. Whenever there is a class, you should have an init method there. So that initialize basically whenever you create an object, that these values should be passed. So whatever you are passing, it goes there, and then things work. So this is a very basic structure of a class. So it's working. Let we can add more methods or functions there. Let me define print applicant info. That's the function, and then again you can see self is by default there, and here you are no need to pass anything, and we can access all the elements. So what all we want to print, we can print self dot. You can see all these items are here. First name, self dot last name, self dot profession, self dot loan amount. Okay, and now, so we have defined another function within the class or another method within the class, and let me use that outside, because we have already created the object of that loan applicant class and the object name is first applicant. So this time let me call this function. So first applicant dot print application info. Okay, so now there are two print, we have one print statement. So let me close comment this. So this should print all the information of the class. Right click, run, and you can see mark W self-employed and 100,000 is the loan amount. So in the very first example, what we did, we tried to access one attribute, and then in second we just try to execute one of the functions or methods we have defined within the class. So now you know how to define a class and how to you can create multiple methods within this class and how to access. So you can create multiple objects. For example, it's just a very first object, and you can create another object here. Let me do second applicant is equals to loan applicant. This time, Chan he is a employer or employee, and he is only looking for 50,000, right? So now we need to, so you have created the object. So you can similarly, you can second applicant dot print applicant info. Okay, so now let me execute it. You can see the first object, this statement is printing information of first object, and this is printing information of the second object. Similarly, you can access. So now we have defined we already have a class, and we can create a number of objects of the same class. So that's how it works, and that's why we were initially I was talking about reusability. So once you have class, you can do all these things. Okay, so you know now we can create multiple objects of the same class. This KYC underscore status and self, and here we will be passing KYC score of an applicant, and let's have a condition if KYC score is greater than 100, approved amount is equals to 100,000, else approved amount is equals to 70,000. Okay, so this here we define another function, and we can call for either second or first. Let me call this for second, and second applicant dot, you can see you already have a function listed KYC status, and you're supposed to pass a score. So what we have given, like KYC score as 100, let me pass a KYC score as 50. Okay, now it will return some value, and we can simply put a print statement just before that, approved amount, and L3 and execute. Okay, now you can see, because as it's 50, if it's 70,000, if I make it 150, we'll get another result. Right click, run, and this time it is 100,000. So now, so you can see, so in real life, you can have a class, you can have multiple, more than one method functions there, and you can use as and when required. You are supposed to create objects as we are doing here. We are creating two objects and then simply using those objects for our purpose. Okay.